Hi, everybody. We're going just a little bit early this afternoon. I am solo. Um, my assistant had to take Miss Daisy to get a bath and be groomed so that she was all ready to go this weekend. So I am solo today. So give me just a few minutes. I want to make sure that I have things set up right because she can do all those banners and I can't. So let me see how we've got things set up and we'll get started then because I am just checking to see. I've got a couple of posts out there. Um, and I know we're still about a minute early, which is okay. So if you're joining me this afternoon, welcome, welcome. I appreciate it. Um, this is 3 on Thursday for October 20th, 2022. I have some fun cards for us to make today. I hope that you'll enjoy them. Um, I apologize. Last week's cards did not get posted on my blog. We started to, we ran into some difficulties, and then we got busy, and it just never got done. And I realized that this morning. So hopefully, this evening I can get that done, or I can do it tomorrow night while I'm out of town in the hotel room. So anyway, we are going to start this off. I want to congratulate Teresa Caps for winning last week's cards, and they were these. I'm going to shut my camera here and I'm going to flip it around so that you all can see my desk. Okay. Hi, Karen. Welcome, welcome. Hold on just a second. My assistant keeps telling me that I don't need her, but she doesn't realize that I do because she does all this stuff with the camera and stuff. So I have to do my little jury rig here to keep my camera straight where I want it to be. There we go. All right. Some of the stuff out of the background here. So here's the cards that we made last week. This was our Christmas card, and it was a gatefold. So it opened up like this. So that was one of them. Then this was another one. And I just tied a ribbon around it to keep it closed, and then I can slip it back on. So there's the second one. We'll just do that later. And then our third one was a fun fold gate that you opened up the corners and then opened it up like this to do your greeting on the inside. Welcome, Cindy. I'm so glad that you guys were able to, bring my hands up farther. Okay, assistant, I will do that. Here's the third card. See, you're not here, so I don't know if I'm in camera view or not. We'll move it like this. Okay, so Teresa, I will send those to you in the mail. So congratulations on that. I mentioned last week about the calendar class. This is just an example. My plan is that everybody brings their own designer series paper to make their backgrounds or your embellishments, whatever you want. All the paper for the calendar itself and the mat will all be cut and prepared for you. Excuse me. Plus a couple of extra things. It'll have an easel that it'll stand up on. So that is on December 31st from 9 until 4, and it will be held at the Eldon Nazarene Church where I hold most of my big all-day classes at. All right, show and tell. This is what I've been busy working on this week, ladies. So this is one of those box cards that you can put something in. This is going to be a wedding card for a couple at church that are getting married in December. I know they're not Christmas colors, but I just love these colors together. So I made that because I'm also demonstrating this card at Saturday's Stampin' Up meeting that I'm going to. So this is for Christmas, and that box just slides in. You may remember that I made one of these for Father's Day when I went to Kansas City. for my 3D project, and I won. So I didn't come home with that card because I sent it to Utah with one of the gentlemen that works out at Stampin' Up. Okay, so here's another card that I worked on this week. So it opens up like this. And we are going to make this card, but not as a Christmas card today. And my assistant, she took the pumpkin idea from last week or from 2 weeks ago, and she made this Christmas card with that card inside of a card. So that turned out really pretty. I really like this card fold. And then I know that I showed you the inside of this card, but I'm taking this with me this weekend. This is the outside of the card. I don't believe I showed it last week, but I am so proud of this card. It opens up. It's got a belly band on it, and then it opens up, and it has a 3D effect to it. And then I've got my greeting over here on this side. And then you can always do something on the back and write on it. So not sure who this birthday card will go to. I have several birthdays coming up. Anyway, I love that card, and I love that card fold. We may have to do a fun fold class because that one is not something that I can necessarily demonstrate on a 3 on Thursday because it takes a little bit of time to do that. There's one more thing that I want to show all of you. And this is a kit that's offered by Stampin' Up! Now, so you can find it under the Kits tab. And that is a birthday organizer kit. So this kit comes with cards and envelopes and this organizer that you put the months on. And of course, because I don't do anything straight, my months aren't straight. But you can make cards and stick them in those pockets and then just look in there for monthly birthdays. So this is a new kit that's offered, and it's got the pretty roses on the front. Here's the examples. This is one card, and you get 6 cards of each style. So this can be for either a masculinity card or a feminine card. And then the other card, I haven't quite finished yet, but it goes, close the box up. This is the front of it, and then it has a big rose that goes on the front of it like that, and then you put a greeting on it. So I just didn't get that card finished. And then it has some embellishments. So it does come with everything that you need, kind of like the paper pumpkin kits do. But anyway, it's really kind of a really pretty organizer for birthday cards. And I know I have to get more organized with my monthly birthday cards. So this would make a nice gift for somebody. You could go ahead and even just make it up and give it to them if they're not crafty and you don't think you want to put the kit, or they won't want to put the kit together. So go out on my website and look up under the kits collections, and you'll find that. I believe it's called the Birthday Organizer Collection. Okay, on to today's cards. Can you believe this weather? It's like, oh my gosh, freezing the first part of the week, and now this weekend, and it also comes with pretty envelopes. So that's really cool. Freezing at the beginning of the week, and now here we are going back up into the 80s. I don't know. I just don't know. It plays havoc on my sinuses and all of that stuff. But okay, I think I just moved my thing because I was moving stuff. All right, let's see which card we want to start with. Let's start with my Apple Harvest card. Now, hi, Teresa Jackson. How are you today? I hope you get good reception too. Let me know if you can hear me. And it might take me a little while to respond because my assistant is with her new baby Daisy that she picked up last week. And Daisy is doing very well. Sometimes Mom's not, but Daisy's doing pretty good. She's still a puppy. I went to print my other tutorials that I worked all morning on, and they wouldn't print. It says my printer's not connected, so I don't know what the deal is. But anyway, we are using the 2224 in color designer series paper that's assorted. So it comes in the Sweet Sorbet, the Parakeet Party, the Starry Sky, the Tahitian Tide, and the Orchid Oasis. So you can do so many different kinds of cards. And mine is kind of cut up, and I have scraps, but I love the Tahitian Tide and the Starry Sky. Okay, but we're going to be using the Sweet Sorbet today. And I did get this idea off of Pinterest. I just was not feeling very creative. And I know that a lot of you will get into that same slump as I do. So bear with me while I get my supplies out here for this card. And I pretty well have everything cut that we need. So here's the card. And it's kind of like another gatefold card, but it's a fun fold. So it opens up like this. Okay. So I am using, like I said, I'm using Sweet Sorbet, and this is cut at 4 1/4 by 11, I believe. Like I said, my instructions are all on my computer, waiting to be printed. Yes. 4 1/4 by 11, and then it is scored at 5 1/2 and 2 3/4. So then you'll fold it up like this and fold back that 2 3/4 spot, and we're going to give that a good burnish, because with fun folds you always want to make sure that they get folded nice and crisp. And I don't know what it is. It must be on camera that I get sleepy. I don't know. So I'll set that aside. I used the, look at my notes here. I believe I used the 4th and 5th rectangle dies so that they would nest together. And these are the rectangle dies. So I cut out 2 of, I guess I used the 6th one too. Uh-oh. I think I cut out the wrong one. I did. Wouldn't you know it? I did. I'm going to have to recut that one. Which one was that one? No, I can just recut that one real quick. So let me cut this out real quick. When I cut it this morning, it got cut with the bigger one, and I didn't want that one because you can't have it showing on the inside. So if your die cut isn't the same size as your outer piece, then you can have it showing. Whoops. It's going to fall off there. So let me cut this real quick. So Karen, did you have a nice vacation? We missed you at card class, and I have your cards for you. Okay, easy enough fix. I just cut it down to the size that I needed, and that's throwaway scrap. So the 4th and 5th rectangle dies. And then I have a piece of the designer series paper. I have 2 pieces that measure 2 1/2 by 4 inches. So I have 2 of those, and they are double-sided, so you can use whichever side you want. This card was using the plaid, but because this was just a partial pack for me, I did not have another 2 sheets of that. It comes in 6x6s. So this is the floral and the stripe. Then you have a piece of designer series paper that is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. So that's going to go on the inside like so. And then this will go on the outside. And then this piece, we're going to use the other side of the paper to give it a different look. And we're going to use the striped side. Okay, so that we will adhere. I went ahead and I've already embossed my little greeting for the outside. And ladies, if you don't have this set, the go-to greetings, I'm telling you what, this is such a great set. It has happy birthday, thinking of you, just a note, thank you, and hello, but it has it in different size fonts. So you can use this on a big card, you can use it on a small card. So this is one of my favorite sets, and it's just the happy birthday and all of that. But I do like that. Oh, you lost it again at Fulton. Oh, Terry, I am so sorry. Dorothy, would you type back to her that I'm sorry that she does not have the audio again? It must be something between I-70 and here. All right, I'm also using the lovely label punch. So it has this kind of label, and so I'm going to punch this out. But because I've got just a scrap of paper, I'm going to use a little Post-it flag and hold on to that while I punch it so that I can get it nice and centered for us. And it just says, just a note. So there is our label, and that's trash now. All right, now on to the fun part of this. So this is the set that we're using, the Apple Harvest set. And if you remember, back in September, this was one of the sets that you could get a die set with. But because we don't have the die set available, I didn't use it. So I chose to just stamp directly onto my little piece of white paper. Get my stamps opened up here. And we're going to do all of our stamping, and then we'll put the card together. So I'm going to get a piece of grid paper out here in case I know I'm going to need it because I'm going to be doing some coloring real quick. So I'm going to stamp up my double apples in the Memento because we're going to use the Stampin' Blends to color this in. Again, ladies, you know that up until a few months ago, Sue didn't like to really color. However, I am really starting to enjoy it because the blends make it so easy. So I want to kind of center this on my piece of white paper that was die cut with the smaller of the two rectangles. So there is I bet it was pretty with all the changing leaves, Karen. I know when I went out to Maine, well, it's 19 years ago, it was just gorgeous. And while I've got this out with my sweet sorbet, I am going to stamp my inside greeting. Something got on my... We'll fix that. All right, so the greeting that I chose from the Apple Harvest set is the greatest gift is a good friend. And I know that a lot of us, we make cards, but do we send those just for thinking of you cards. I mean, that's the whole point in, I'm going to double check and make sure that I've got this on my block straight. Nope, I don't. Must have gotten shifted. Cindy, you are so right. The blends are a game changer because I don't have to pretend like I'm an artist. And I can get things to look pretty good. Okay, let's check this out again and make sure that it is straight for us. That looks pretty good. All right. So I'm going to stamp this just about up at the top, not quite. And then I'm going to take the Memento Black again, and I'm going to stamp the little apple blossom down in the corner. Done with this one. And then I'm going to take the crumb cake, and on this little piece here, I'm going to stamp this little, I don't know, cross stitch X's or whatever. So I'm going to stamp this one up here in this corner. And then I'm going to stamp this one down here. And that's really all the stamping for this one. And I'm going to quickly color our apples. And I am using Granny Apple Green for the green on our leaves. So I am using the Sweet Sorbet, light and dark, Granny Apple Green, dark and light, and then I'm using one of the numbered pens, and this is SU 500, I believe. Yes, SU 500. It's just a light brown. And then I'm using So Saffron to just give some dimension to those flowers. So while I'm coloring, does anybody have any questions about anything? If you are interested in the Magic Monday mystery stamping, that will be on Monday the 24th. I will be sending out the email with the first clue on the supplies that you're going to need Sunday. So I'm just going to color in the branch with this light brown. I could have used crumb cake, but sometimes the blends are a little bit darker than the crumb cake was just a little bit darker than what I wanted. I didn't necessarily want it that dark. And I'm just coloring the stem of the apple. And let's see. I think that's all that I needed to do with the stem. Bring it down here in this leaf a little bit. So I'm not even really blending anything with the stem. And if you're not familiar with the blends, it has two different sides. It has the brush tip, and then it has the bullet tip. And I prefer to use the brush tip whenever I'm using the blends. And the only thing that I have to be careful of that I'm finding that I do is I get too close to the edge, and the alcohol does spread a little bit. At least it does for me. Maybe for those experts it doesn't. So I have to make sure that I don't get too close to the sides, that it bleeds out over the areas that I want it to be. one of the nice things, I think I've got ink on my fingers, so let me get it wiped off, is that with the blends, you can just go over it. You don't even have to use the dark and the light colors. Oh, those baby wipes are all coming out at one time for me. So I wonder where everybody's at today. I know we're missing Cherie and Pat's not on. I talked to Pat earlier today. I guess I didn't remind her that it was 3 on Thursday, so I don't know. Is that you don't have to go in one direction. You can kind of, I call it scribbling. Like I said, I just have to make sure that I'm not getting too close to an area where I don't want that color, but yet I'm getting close enough that it doesn't give me that white. Okay, now we're going to color in this other part of the apple that's cut. And so our church has been, and Mary's not on today either. I'm missing quite a few. I've only got 4 of you watching. Just they'll be finishing up our apple pies on Saturday. So, yeah, see, I get it so close that sometimes it just bleeds, but I can get it fixed with sometimes just blending it out. So we're going to let that dry, and now I'm going to come in with my Granny Apple Green, my light. And I don't even know if I might have just used the dark. That needs to be a red. There's that one little piece of apple that I keep forgetting about. I'm really kind of hoping that because these sets were so popular with the die sets being offered, I'm hoping, really hoping, that the dies will be in our next catalog. Wouldn't that be exciting? I am getting more excited every day because in November 10th, I leave to go to Arlington, Texas for the Stampin' Up! On Stage, where I will get to see new product, the new catalog, the mini catalog that comes out in January. So I'm excited about that. And hopefully I will be able to meet some other demonstrators that are close by. And I'm just going to take my dark sweet sorbet, and I'm just kind of going over where it has the black lines to it, because that's where the artist has kind of like the shadowing for it. So I'm just going right over those lines. Easy peasy. I'm going to just take my light and kind of blend that dark in. So I'm just kind of pulling that dark out. Just to give it that shading. Like I said, these blends are so easy to work with for coloring that even I can color because. Okay, now I'm not going to color in our apple blossoms because they're white, but I am going to take my brush tip for my So Saffron, and I'm just kind of going inside this to give it a little bit of color. And there's just a little one right over there. Then I am just going to kind of come in here real light and kind of do the inside of that cut apple where those seeds are. And I did take my I took a blending pen and I just kind of went over this. and it kind of picked up some of that color. But you don't have to do that because it's not that dark. Okay, so we are done with the blend. See how easy that was? Even, oops, I forgot my inside flour. Even someone as not artistic as me can make some apples look pretty good and inviting to eat. So there's our little blossom in the center. All right, let's put this card together. All right, so really one of the main things that you have to remember with this card, and that is when you fold it over, you don't attach the whole piece. So get my silicone mat out here. And I'm using my Stampin' Seal Plus. I prefer it over just the regular Stampin' Seal. We're going to lay that down on the inside of our card piece, just like so. Then we're going to take our piece that matches it with the flowers. So this weekend I'm going to Kansas City, so I'm excited. I'm going to be doing a demonstration, but we also get to bring cards that we've made or projects that we've made, 3D projects. So that's one reason why I made quite a few of these cards, was because I wanted to take them and put them in the contest. I don't know whether they'll win or not, but hey, that would be a plus. Now I'm going to lay the other piece of the designer series paper down in our other, and you could definitely leave this side blank if you wanted to, or you could put in more of a greeting. And I'm just lining that up so that I've got the same amount at the top on all three of those. Whoops, that one's crooked. It was all good except for the one side. Sometimes, ask Dorothy. I'll sit here and I'll get so aggravated because I can't get it lined up straight. Okay. So now that will get put in last. This is going to get attached to the front of our, with that other sweet sorbet rectangle. Has anybody ever felt like their filing cabinet, their brain, or their computer, their brain is so full they just don't think they could fit another thing in it? It's kind of how I'm feeling right now. I've got so many different things going through my head, things that I got to get done. Excuse me. Okay, so now remember what I said. We don't want to attach this like all the way across because then our card wouldn't open. So what I find is the easiest for me is I will flip this over and I will center it where I want it. And then I will put adhesive where it needs to start. So here it needs to start right here where that fold is. So I'm going to just put adhesive strips right here. So I'm just doing 3 strips of adhesive, and I'm going to make sure that I don't have any hangover, and I don't. So I know now that I can flip this over, and I always kind of open it up, and I'll lay my silicone mat down, because in that way I know that it's not going to stick to my card where I don't want it to. And I'll just kind of place it there and flip it over and make sure that I have no adhesive there. I just need to straighten it up a little bit, which is not a big deal. Okay, I'm still okay on my adhesive, except I'm not okay on my centering of it. Okay, I'm going to give that a good press down. Now, this piece here that we did our inside greeting on, that piece we are going to lay over the top of this, and it should match up on the three sides. So on this side, and this side. It shouldn't be hanging over at all. This one, we are going to adhere the whole thing down. All right, make sure, because after you've put your adhesive on it, it might shift and move on you. So make sure that it's lined up so that it's not showing from this side. Okay, so line it up, and it might show just a tad bit, but you just don't want it hanging out too much. Once you're satisfied, if your fingers get stuck, once you're satisfied that it's not showing on the front, then just take your back flap and flip it over. Don't press it real hard, but then that way you can see that it is lined up. Make sure that it looks straight in your card. We may have to do a little bit of adjusting here. That's where the take your pick tool comes in handy, because that little flat spatula area can kind of lift up an area that you want lifted up without ripping your paper. Come on. I say that now it's going to be cantankerous. And I don't have to lift the whole thing up. I just need to lift it up enough that I can shift it up, because it just wasn't laying quite straight enough. And now that's up too high. You gotta love things when it doesn't work out for you, right? Because you try to make it easy and then it doesn't get easy. It needs to be going back a little bit. This really isn't that hard. But for some reason today, I probably should have used the smaller one, and then it wouldn't have been an issue, because I would have known that it was going to be fully. So I should have used the same size as I did here, but I didn't. So, but I can't really come down or up either way, so it's going to be good. Okay, now on the little greeting that we got, we're going to put some dimensionals on that. And here's my packet of all of my dimensional bones. And I know some of you think, oh, why do you save those? Well, because I just don't want to have to, I don't want to waste them, because they're still good. And they can be used on projects very easily. I usually put my flat side towards the edge that's going to show, so that it has a nice clean edge if someone were to examine your card. And I'm going to make sure that I have it good on all the four sides. I'm just going to show, lift it up. But once I get rid of this piece, oh goody, I get to throw that piece away, and I'm not using it anymore. I'm not even going to use that one little teeny tiny piece. Oh yes, I will. I'm going to use that right there, Good. I'm glad that I'm not the only one that saves theirs. Hi, Cherie. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad that you were able to make it for us today. We haven't quite finished the first card. I may have to start changing it to be 2 on Thursday instead of 3 on Thursday. I think if I just did very simple cards, but who wants just basic simple cards, right? We want fun cards. All right, so then I am just going to put this up here on the corner and kind of cover up where the end of that branch comes out. So there's our first card. Okay, and that's using the Apple Harvest stamp set. Okay, all right, let's go on to our next card. We'll save the hardest card for last. Our next card is our Christmas card. And while I was designing this last night, I kept thinking, okay, I had something set in my head, but it wasn't working out. It just wasn't giving me the look that I was looking for. So I redid some things and came up with something else. So I came up with this card. And so the Christmas tree is cut out, and that's using the twinkling lights dies. So it's the Christmas tree. So here's the Christmas tree, and then it has the outline of the Christmas tree. So that's 2 pieces. So we're going to really quick run this through the die machine. And I'm going to save the scraps that I have of this, because I think what I'm going to do is make some green holly berries. No, I don't want to make green holly berries. They're red holly berries. Green holly leaves with one of the dies that we have in another Christmas set. And I can use these scrap pieces. So that's not going to get thrown away. So that we're done with our die. So that gives us our tree. We have 2 pieces of 4 by 5 1/4. One is going to be for our front. One is going to be for the inside. We have a piece of evening evergreen ribbon and a bow. And we are going to emboss in gold a greeting from this Hope and Peace stamp set. This is just all greetings, and I love the fonts because they're all so different. So we're going to use this Tidings of Comfort and Joy on our card. So all I did last night when I did this was I laid my tree where I wanted it on my card, and then I could judge where I needed to place my stamp. So I'm going to get out my embossing buddy. And I thought this card, once I got it all done, it just really looked elegant. It was simple, but it's very elegant looking with that glimmer paper. And that glimmer paper comes in evening evergreen, I believe real red, and gold. So now I'm going to stamp this up here in the corner. Oh, my husband's home, so there goes my dogs. Hopefully I got that straight. And now I'm going to take the gold embossing powder. Oh, no, it's my assistant is home. So Daisy must be all cleaned. So our 2 puppies, Nyla and Simba, they're still getting used to Daisy. They don't hate her, but they're not real fond of her. She's still a puppy, and they are almost 5 years old. Well, they were born in 2016, so I guess this December they'll be 6 years old. I'm going to emboss this real quick. So it's going to get a little bit loud. Just letting my heat gun heat up. I know most of you have done heat embossing, but if you haven't, you want to make sure that you don't stay in one spot too long, because then you'll scorch your paper. So that's done. Put our powder away so that I don't make a mess. Yes, Terry, you can embellish the tree. If you see here, I don't know if you can catch it on the camera, but I have used some of the embellishment dots. Where are they? They are somewhere. There they are. Maybe I've got it back. Okay, no, I got it back, but I've got the wrong camera. Okay, everybody, hang on. Let me switch my camera.
Lost your mic?
Well, it said I lost my mic, but now I've got to find my, now I got to get my camera flipped. Yes, I've got my mic, but now you have to see my face, and that's not what I want. So give me a second here while I go out and flip my camera around. Okay, that camera is looking like it's, let's see what it's doing here. I'm not live on here.
No.
Oh, see what happens when your assistant is gone. I don't know. Settings. There we go. Okay, I have no idea what happened,
What did
but
you touch?
I didn't touch anything. I don't know what I touched.
Daisy.
Okay, good. I'm glad that I'm back.
Daisy.
Sorry about that, ladies. All right. I don't know where I left off, but I'm just now, I just kind of judged how much ribbon I needed
Daisy down.
to wrap around my card. Okay.
Daisy down.
So it's not, there's no measurements to it.
Daisy down.
You will hear my assistant giving directions to Miss Daisy so that she will lay down. She decided to come in my room the other day while no one was in here, and she decided to get tangled up in my computer cord. broke my computer cord. That was Monday. We had a terrible start to the week Monday. But we got through it, and I ordered a new computer cord. Okay. So I'm going to attach my card base of the very vanilla to our evening evergreen. And I love evening evergreen. I don't know what I'm going to do when they discontinue this in color next year. It's going to just make me really cry. Because I think it looks so elegant for Christmas. I like it better than like the green. I don't like garden green. Okay. I don't want sticky stuff to show up behind this on my tree. I don't want it to ooze out of the holes. So I am going to use my precision point. Oh, I reached for the sequins and it went black. Okay, I must have done something. So I'm just going to use my precision point bottle and put glue around the edges. And not a whole lot, ladies. You don't need to get too zealous with this because it will ooze out. In fact, I have a little bit too much there and I'm going to take it off. Sometimes if I get a little bit too much glue somewhere, I'll kind of spread it out so that it's not clumpy because I don't want it to ooze. I want just little dots of it. All right. We're going to place this down here in the left-hand corner, giving just a little bit of border at the bottom. Well, come here. It moved my ribbon, and now my ribbon looks off. There we go. Okay, give that a little time to dry. Now I am going to take from that stamp set, if I can find it. I can't, which is okay. It will be done when you get the card. There's a little Christmas tree I'm going to stamp for the inside of our card. And I'm going to use a mini glue dot, or as I like to call them, little snot dots. Yes, it is warm in the studio, but I can't help it because it's the lights that I have. So I'm going to take a little glue dot and I'm putting it on the ribbon, not on my bow. Get it off of my finger. And then I'm going to, and you know, I didn't tie this online or on live because I haven't been able to tie very good ribbons or bows lately. So there is our little bow, our little pearls. Like I said, these are listed in the mini catalog as the decorative festive pearls. And I'm just going to start putting them on here as if they were lights. So there's going to be one up there. And I'm just kind of covering up some of the holes that are already in the tree. So you can definitely embellish this. You could embellish them with the gold. You know, you could embellish these with any colored pearls you want. You just don't want real big ones. And normally I always say, you know, we use 3 pearls. Well, on something like this, because you're doing kind of like a string of lights, you got to go a little bit more than 3. Whoops, that one didn't come off. I'm still going to try to have an odd number. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll put 11 on here. There's 10. put one more right here. So, yes, Terry, you can definitely embellish this tree. So that is card number 2, which is our tidings of comfort and joy. And you will have your inside piece of very vanilla that you can do your own inside greeting with. Okay. Oh, I'm really excited about this next card. Get some of this stuff moved off my desk because this next card has tons of little tiny pieces to it. And when I made this, I ended up with an extra piece of white paper. And I thought, well, why do I have this extra piece of white paper? Well, after reading the instructions again, I realized why I had a piece of extra white paper. We are using the Hello Harvest paper and the Hello Harvest or Happy Harvest. Hello Harvest. I'm going to turn my fan on, ladies, and this until I get to embossing, and then I'll have to turn it down a little bit. But my assistant is over here. She's melting away. All right, so this is the card. So this is how it opens. Remember, I showed you at the beginning there was a Christmas card that I made like this. Well, this is a fall birthday card. One of the ladies at the class on Saturday is celebrating her 50th birthday on Monday, so I'm making this card for her. So we have this is going to be what I refer to as my back panel, and it is 4 1/4 by, no, it is, yes, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. All right, and then these 2 strips measure out at 3/4 by 5 1/4. So let's just go ahead and attach those real quick to this. And if you use the double-sided designer series paper, you could use whatever side you wanted to. I just love this green. Mossy Meadow is another one of my favorite color greens. I think it also can be used in cards that make them look very elegant. But you could also use the black and white. So we're just going to lay those 2 pieces on each side of our back piece. Okay. Now, this is our front panel. And before I go any farther, let me real quick, we are going to color our pumpkin. And we are coloring it with Cajun Craze, light Cajun Craze. Whoops, wrong end. And here is where, like I said, I call it scribbling. So I'm just going to scribble in this pumpkin. Now, normally I would color it before I die cut it, but I didn't want to have to take the time to die cut a whole lot today since I was embossing. So I went ahead and die cut this out, and then we're coloring it. So Cherie, did you get your deck all stained? I know you were working on that a couple weeks ago. And can you all believe that it is almost the end of October? Unbelievable. Christmas will be here before I know it. And I am not at all comprehending what I'm going to do. I know what we're not going to do this year, but I don't know what we're going to do. We're not going on a vacation like we have in the last couple of years. Okay.
Only because I don't get this.
Right, because
Yeah.
we don't have Audrey, so we don't want to take a vacation without her.
So we'll take
All right, so here's the crumb cake. And remember I told you that it was a little bit darker, and I want to use that other color that I used before. That was just a little bit lighter for our branch. So I need to change that on my tutorial.
Is that one of the
This is the E500 or the SU500. But it's just a little bit lighter than that crumb cake, because when I colored in mine with the crumb cake, it was just really dark, and I didn't really want it that dark. I wanted to be able to see some of those shadow lines. Okay, so now I'm coming back in with the dark Cajun Craze, and again, I am just following those black lines that the artist put in here for the shadow of this pumpkin. I'm not being real neat about it, just kind of making those lines. And I could do the dividing points on the pumpkin, but I didn't really want to do that. Well, now I'm going to take the light again, because my fan is going, it is drying that alcohol a little bit faster. And now I'm just kind of pulling that dark for my pumpkin. And pumpkins are not perfect, so this one does not have to be perfect. Okay, so we are done coloring. All right, so we have a piece of designer series paper, and this measures at 3 by 5.5. We have another piece of designer series paper that measures 3 1/4 by 5.5, and a piece of white that measures 5.5 by 3.5. We have a piece of our vellum cardstock. This is 2 3/4 by 6.5. And this is a little bit longer than what you need, but you know how we don't want to glue and adhere the vellum to the front of our card because you can see that adhesive. So I've got a trick to show you here. So we're going to lay our vellum on top of our paper, and it kind of tones it down. It mutes it down a little bit. And you're going to just center that on your designer series paper and flip it over. You're going to take your bone folder and you're going to score right along the top of your designer series paper. And then you're going to fold that over. Okay, and give that a good crease. All right, now I lift it up to make sure that it is still centered on my designer paper the way I want it. And now I'm going to adhere that. That way that vellum gets adhered to the back of that paper and not to the, you can't see it from the front. So now I've just done that. I forgot to do something, but I think we can still do it. I forgot to emboss my greeting, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and lay this down, and we're going to emboss our greeting, which is happy birthday. Okay, So my Versamark here, and I'm embossing in black. That's gold. Where's my black? There it is. And my embossing buddy is right here. So we're going to put embossing buddy over our vellum. And we are going to pray that Sue gets this straight the first time, since she's already got it adhered to the designer series paper. And we kind of want it in the center. So there is our Versamark. Let's be very careful with our black embossing powder. Okay, and we're going to emboss that. So my assistant is doing that while I'm cleaning up the vellum or the embossing powder so I don't spill it all over the place. While we're waiting on that, I'm going to take our pumpkin, and I use some of our adhesive sheets, and I cut out 2 of the, well, where did it go? 2 of the tiny little vines for our pumpkin. Okay, all right, that didn't do too bad. I'm pretty happy that that worked out okay since I had it. But I'm going to go ahead and put our vines on our pumpkin. And you definitely want to use the adhesive sheets when you do this, ladies, because these little vines are very delicate, but they're also very thin to try to get adhesive on. So I would definitely use the adhesive sheets. I have one more little piece because I don't like to waste the adhesive sheets, so I use little bits and pieces to cover the cardstock that I needed to cover. And then it gets stuck to me. Be careful while I'm pulling it. And I'm going to put the vine going that direction. A piece. And we're going to put a vine going out this direction. Gotta attach it to the top of our stem there. I love this set. I am so glad that I decided to get it, because I was not going to get a fall stamp set, but I have made more cards with this than I ever imagined. Okay, I am needing the blender one, Dorothy. I want to lighten this up a little bit. Okay, so you see how this kind of warps here, and that's because you've embossed on vellum. But I have a trick for that. Once we get the card all put together, then I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So now this piece, thank you, this piece is going to get adhered to that yellow piece. So it's kind of like layer upon layer, but it gives this card such a really cool look to it. Let's see if Sue can get this centered on here. And you're going to go right up to the top and right to the bottom and have just a very small border on the sides. Come on. Do any of you talk to your paper like it's going to listen to you? kind of like my husband talks to Simba and Nyla, and he asks them the same question over and over again, like he's expecting an answer. It's like they're not going to talk back to you. My paper's not going to talk to me either. Okay. Now we're going to attach this to our basic white piece. And I'm over time. I know that, ladies. If you have to go watch the replay, you can come in. All right. So now we're going to attach this. And again, you're going to go right up to the top and right to the bottom, leaving just a very narrow border on each side. It's like 1/8 of an inch. Okay. So that piece is done. Now we've got our center fold. Let's get the stuff out of the way. So for this card, it measures it is 8 inches by 5.5. Don't forget to cut off that 1/2 inch, because I did and it didn't work because it folds in like this. So you have to have two sides that are equal. Okay. So I'm taking another designer series paper that is in that harvest pack of paper that I didn't think was very pretty until I got it. And now I love it. And I'm almost out of it.
But it's better to use it than hoard it.
Yes, it is better to use it than to hoard it. But I am going to save a piece, I think, for my calendar for next year. So that, and this is going to get placed on the inside between the big score. Like I said, I forgot to tell you what this was scored at. It is scored at 1.5, 2 3/4, 5 1/4, and 6.5. Okay, and that's what makes our gate fold. So I have 20 minutes Saturday to demonstrate how to make that Christmas card box. Hope I don't go over, because it's my first time demonstrating to these women and men, and I certainly don't want to mess up. I'd like for them to ask me back. Okay, now I'm going to take this piece here. It's a little bit wider. It measures at 1 1/4 by the 5 1/4. Once you get all the little pieces put together, the assembling of the basic card is not hard, and it doesn't take very long. And that's going to go on this side. And I have a feeling I need to change that one piece because it's a little crooked at the bottom. So let's do some card surgery here. You know, and I know you all feel my pain when you get something laid down, you think it's straight, then all of a sudden you look at it from a different angle and it's like, well, that's not straight. And this Stampin' Seal Plus, it is tough stuff. The glue is tough stuff too, so it doesn't matter what I use when it comes to card surgery here. But I don't, unless somebody was really examining the card, they probably wouldn't even notice. But I do. And it's like it's just not. There we go. Much better. All right. Let me fix my pumpkin here. I'm going to use a We have one. I just don't know where mine is for Stampin' Up. But I'm just going to kind of go in and lighten up some of this pumpkin by removing some of that Cajun craze so that it's not quite so dark where I don't want it to be. So it's kind of figure it as an eraser for the Copics. That's what I think of. Oh, yes, much better. Not Copics, blends. Sorry about that, because I was using a Copic. Now, for the inside of this card, I thought it would be a very nice greeting since the outside says happy birthday. This one here comes from the Very Best Occasions. And here again, this one is an all sentiment. Mom's calling. It's an all sentiment stamp set, so it's got different occasions to it. This one says, sending you smiles for every moment of your special day. You make my life happier. It's got a couple of Christmas ones in it. So this is another good set for you.
Okay, just
all right. So now I'm going to stamp my inside greeting that says, sending you smiles for every moment of your special day. We're going to make sure that I've got it straight. It was this morning. And I think sometimes when I think my sentiment is off, it's not really my fault that it's off. It's off because the way the fonts look. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but sometimes I just think that because the fonts are different, it makes it look like it's not straight. But I think that looks pretty straight to me. All right. Forgot to cover up my glue there. All right, so now that I've got my sentiment stamped, we're going to assemble the card. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to fold up our card, and I've got ink on here, but I have a sand eraser that I'm going to try and use. Otherwise, I will remake this card for whoever the winner is because I have ink all over my fingers again. Yes, Cherie, you will be having fun while I'm demonstrating my Christmas box. All right, so you're going to fold up your part that has the 4 section or the 5 sections in it. Where's your sand eraser at? I want to try something here because I got ink on my card. Let's try the sand eraser and see if I can get this ink off. Some of it's coming off. I think it depends on how dark it is and what color. Of course, this would be black. I might just have to fix this by putting a leaf or something there. We'll fix it up. All right, fold this up, and this is going to go in between these 2 pieces of paper, matching the top and the bottom of the card. Okay, and you might have to center it so that there's just a little tad of the white showing. So I'm going to open, or I'm going to keep that closed, and I'm going to run my Stampin' Seal across this. Okay. Lay this down, and I am going to fold one side over so that I can make sure that I have it as even as I can get it. And fold that side over. Looks pretty even. Bottom looks even. Top looks even. So now I can press it down. Okay. So see how easy it goes together? It's not hard. It's just a little bit time consuming because of the different steps. Now you're going to take that one piece that we built up on with the vellum, and we are going to center that on the card so that you have approximately the same amount of room on both sides of the green paper showing. But we don't want to tape it to this side at all. So we're going to open this up, and I'm going to place adhesive on this flap. Okay, I'm going to close it back up, bring my card base back in, or my card layer, and center that the best that I can. Come on. Boy, they are just not wanting to cooperate with me. Can I blame it on the weather? I really need to blame this on the weather because for some reason. All right. Close it back up. I had it too high on one side. Place that down. Okay, so there's your card, how it opens up. Okay, and then it stands up really pretty. See, it kind of stands up. Now, we're going to attach our pumpkin with some of our dimensional skeletons, because I really want to get rid of these skeletons in my drawer. That's right, they're skeletons. So we're going to snip off some pieces here. Flip our pumpkin over. And like I said, I always try to use the flat side towards the edge that might be seen. Put a piece right there in the center. One last little skeleton right here. We are almost done, ladies. I am so sorry that we have gone over today. I don't think an hour is long enough for me to do 3 cards. So I'm going to have to either choose to make it last an hour and a half or only do 2 cards. Because even in my classes, it's difficult to get 3 cards done in an hour. Okay, now I'm going to kind of put my pumpkin over to one side so that you can see that part of that pumpkin that's over here on the paper. And here's where we're going to do something with our black dots. Remember I said this is puckering, and if that bothers you, then I have a fix for it. We are going to take a snot dot. Now you can't do this necessarily with real tiny beads or dots, but you can if they're the bigger ones. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off one of those dots, those snot dots, and I'm going to place it where I'm going to put one of those embellishments. And because you can see it, I'll know exactly where to place that, and it's about the same size as our dot. Okay, so we'll do one on that side, and we'll do one at the top on this other side, so that that vellum kind of sticks down to our paper. I don't know why. We're going to scooch that up, make that growing. Come on now. Stay up there. Okay. And we'll put a dot there. And now we're going to put another dot up here in the corner. So there we have our trifold, double fold, step or gatefold card. Okay. All right. So let me get this stuff cleared out of here. Let me show you all three cards again. And then I want y'all to let me know which one is your favorite, or you can tell me which one is your favorites in the order. So like if you can go number 1 is your favorite, that would be number 1. If number 2 is your favorite, that would be number 1. So let me know what cards are your favorite. This is card number 3. This is our Christmas card, number 2. And then our fun fold card with the apples was number 1. So what do you think, ladies? Yes, Cherie, that is a sneaky little way that you can hide the glue dots on the vellum. I could have even put glue down here underneath the pumpkin because the pumpkin would have hid the glue, if I just wanted to use some glue dots. So we've got several that say number 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's Karen and Cindy. You both like 3, 2, and 1. Cherie likes 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so let me remind you again, Monday night, the 24th, is Magic Monday Mystery cards. So I will be sending out on Sunday the list of supplies that you will need. If you want to participate and you don't normally get my emails, then shoot me an email and I will be more than happy to include you on that for our Zoom meeting. Teresa likes number 1, 2, and 3. So it's kind of all over the board, but you seem to like them all, ladies. So I appreciate your time this afternoon. Thanks again for joining me. Next week, it will be a recorded video because I have to go with my husband to some appointments up in Columbia at the VA. So I will be gone. Okay. So until next time, you all have a fabulous weekend. Enjoy yourselves. I'm going to enjoy myself, and I will post pictures in the Facebook group or in my Facebook about this weekend, and my assistant will probably take a picture while I'm demonstrating. So wish me luck, everybody. Y'all have a good weekend. Bye.